Welcome, everyone, back to the Hunting You podcast and part 2 of our Hunter's Toolbox episode. Now, if you listen to episode 95, or what we released in late May, you'll know that we are doing a series on the tools that we have found most useful as hunters, the things that we have invested in and we use constantly as hunters to help build our haunted house. And when we did that initial episode and I was done with the editing, that episode was over 2 hours long. So we ended up splitting it up into 2. So this is part 2 of that Hunter's Toolbox, and we're just going to continue the discussion that we had from before. In part 1, we talked all about construction tools, everything that I use on a regular basis when I am building my haunt. This part 2 is going to get into other things, more specialized tools, everything from electrical to what I'm using while I'm running the haunt, to even like makeup tools. So get ready, get set, and let's roll right back into the discussion from our previous episode. Take it away, Les.
All right. So we have spent a good bit of time talking about your basic tools. Now we're going to kind of up the level a little bit, and we're going to start talking about one of my favorite things and one of the few things I'm not allowed to play with, which is electricity and tools that you want to have when doing anything with electrical.
Yeah, so I am an electrical engineer. I'm an amateur electrician. Amateur meaning I don't get paid for it, but that does not mean I'm not knowledgeable. I know a lot about electricity. If you have questions about electricity, please, God, reach out. I am more than happy to walk people through things because I don't want people to get electrocuted.
As tools are, and as much of a risk to your fingers, toes, and arms as they can be, electricity is more so. Please treat everything electrical as live until you have, without any shadow of a doubt, proven otherwise by using these tools that we're going to talk about, not by sticking your tongue to the damn wires.
And you know what? There are certain things that I do test with my tongue. 9-volt batteries are about the extent of that. Anything else
beyond that? No.
I'm bringing out the appropriate tools.
If you're an amateur electrician, because I was assuming that title means you just kind of mess around. I thought you had a higher. What am I?
Dangerous.
You're a walking hazard. No. You're not an electrician. You're a walking electrical hazard.
Yes, accurate.
I love you, John, but you're a walking electrical hazard.
I like that. I can go with that.
I want to be very clear in how I'm using this word. The word amateur does not mean not skilled. The word amateur means not paid. They do it for the love of it. I do electrical work for the love of it. I do not get paid for it. I am a licensed electrical engineer. I have the knowledge. I have the experience. Again, please reach out to me if you have questions.
That's fair, because when I hear like the phrase amateur nuclear physicist, I get concerned. It makes me nervous.
Too.
You should be. Yeah.
So I just, fair enough.
Okay. So for starters, how do we determine that it is safe to work on this electrical thing? And there are a number of tools that can help you do that. I have a couple different types of voltage testers. They look like big fat pencils, and all you do is hold it up to turn it on, hold it up to a wire. It will flash green if the wire is cold, no voltage, or red if it's hot. There's voltage there, don't touch it. And it stays in my tool belt, and it's just a quick and easy way to say, is this hot or not? Easy to test.
Let's do a quick rundown of, so we're talking home haunters. So if you're doing anything electrical, it's either attached to your house or you're doing something with props or, things that you have not yet plugged in.
Fair. Yeah.
So with that in mind, everybody, as you're looking at this and talking about potentially doing anything with electricity, first thing you want to do, just after having all of these tools that we're going to talk about, is make sure that you know where your breaker box is in your house.
Yep.
And if your house is anything like mine, there may be things in your house that are cross-wired over multiple breakers.
Yep.
So, even if I have all of my breakers for my office turned off, and I know they're turned off because my computer is off, I am still going to check every single wire on the light that I need to change out in my office at one point, because when we did my husband's in his office and everything was turned off, we still had a live wire. And we had to go through and find out which circuit breaker that wire was tied to before I could do anything.
Yeah, I was working on an outlet at my mother-in-law's apartment. She's a landlord, has a couple of apartments, and needs some electrical work done. And I found the outlet, isolated it appropriately, and then started working on it, and got shocked by a white wire. White is neutral. There should never be current carried on the white wire. But what I found out later was the dishwasher had been wired into this junction box. And so I was getting the hot from the dishwasher coming back through the neutral into this junction box.
Yep. That was my ground wire. My ground wire was flashing red. And I'm sitting going, this is a fucking ground wire.
Ground wire should not be flashing red ever.
Yeah, I know.
Your house scares me.
My house, again, I am an amateur on all of this. I can get myself out of most trouble that I can get myself into. But when it comes to electricity, I triple check everything.
Yeah.
Because not only could it kill me, I could burn out everything in my house by doing something stupid. And then we have to pay a shit ton of money for an actual electrician to come in and redo all the wiring in my house.
And what I like to tell people is not only can this kill you, but it will hurt the whole time you're dying.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. This is not an electrical episode, though. I want to keep this now that we have given you all of the, don't be dumb. Be forewarned. We're not going to go into the details of doing electrical work. This is just about tools that I have that I like for doing my electrical work.
Safely.
So voltage tester is the first one. A multimeter. Multimeters are great because they can let you determine what the voltage is at this point. They do AC, they do DC, they do, depending on the one that you get, all at a variety of voltage levels. And the one I have, it's a Craftsman. If you want like a really high quality one, Fluke is the pinnacle. Electricians carry Fluke meters. They are wonderful. They're everything you could need and more. I have a Craftsman because I love my Craftsman. This is one of those. It doesn't really matter the brand on at all. Fish tape. What's a fish tape? Fish tape is a wire in a coil, usually a piece of metal that you can run through walls. If you are running wires through walls, you want a fish tape. Get a fish tape. Probably not going to do that for haunts, but just saying. Might want to run it under floors or something like that. And a fish tape makes it very easy for you to run the fish tape, attach the wire to it, pull the wire back through. Because it's rigid, you can run it through things that you cannot with a soft wire. Screwdrivers. You're definitely going to need screwdrivers for electrical work. I use my basic construction screwdrivers that are not special in any way. They do make very specific screwdrivers for electricians that are coated with a dielectric material, meaning electricity will not pass through it. I do not have any.
Insulated.
They're insulated.
Not conductive.
I do not own any of those. I don't. But if you feel the need, they're out there. It is an option. Wire strippers. You need to just have some way to be able to strip the insulation off quickly and easily. And I have a couple of different wire strippers because I have one for very small wires that I do for electronics work when I'm doing prop building. I have a different one for doing household electricity or running power to the various parts of my haunt. Very different sizes. We're talking 22 gauge versus 16 or 14 gauge, sometimes 18 gauge. And so
now remind me.
Multiple.
As the gauge number goes up, the size of the wire goes down.
The higher the gauge number, the smaller the wire. Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Diagonal snips. Diagonal snips are great wire cutters. They do not necessarily, they will not strip the wire. You can, but you often end up damaging the wire underneath.
You have to be really careful doing it.
You have to be very careful. But they are great for doing quick cuts. And I like that better than my wire stripper usually.
Yeah.
Needle nose pliers are super helpful here for bending wires around, especially if you're attaching to a switch or a outlet. Bending it so you can get around the post. Needle nose pliers, very helpful.
They're also really useful for connecting two wires before you put your cap on.
Yeah. Oh, your wire nut. Exactly.
Your wire nut.
Potentially a circuit breaker tracer. In Leslie's case, she should probably own a circuit breaker tracer because she's going to use it a lot. This is something where you can you take a piece and just plug it into an outlet, and then you go back to your circuit breaker box, and with kind of a pen looking device, and you hold it against the different breakers and you're listening for a beep. When it beeps, you will find that is the circuit that you've just plugged into. So that makes it very easy to figure out which breaker these things go to. I do not own one, and it means I spend a lot of time trying to figure out which
breakers to try and figure out. And that's the thing. We have 3 circuit panels in our house. We have the original, we have one in the garage, and we have a new one in the basement.
Yeah.
So, and the guy who did our electrical lived here before. My understanding is that he was an electrician, but not as diligent with things.
Well, I mean, what I tend to find is tradesmen working on their own homes are usually less careful than they are working in job sites.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Let me know, listeners, if you have seen the same or different. I'm super curious.
Yeah, no, I love my house. It is absolutely amazing. It is definitely cobbled together by people who knew what they were doing and didn't quite know what they were doing. And I dread doing any actual work on my house because I am 99% sure that the people who put on our addition probably did not pull all the permits they were supposed to.
Indeed.
So,
yeah. On that note, stud finder, potentially very useful, and then maybe not necessarily for hunt building, but could be very helpful. And then a stapler, not necessarily for electrical, but it's good for stapling wires down. It's good for stapling tarps down. It's good for stapling John to the wall so that he can't reach things. Stapler, very helpful.
Have you seen my stapler?
Exactly.
God, Office Space.
It's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, until you work in offices and you're like, oh, fuck.
Way too accurate. Yeah, exactly. Oh, zip ties. I don't know if you would necessarily call this a tool, but I use zip ties freaking everywhere.
It's a multi-purpose everything.
Exactly.
Also useful for zip tying John to chairs so that he does not get in the way.
I also like keeping them in my car so that when I see a jackass who has parked across multiple spots at the grocery store, I'll zip tie a cart to their door handle.
That's smart.
Yeah, so those there's my quick version of electrical tools. Anything else you thought of, Les?
Electrical tape.
Oh my god, electrical tape. Absolutely.
Which is useful for so many things outside of electrical. Like, electrical tape's actually what's holding my piccolo together.
I have questions about that. We'll come back to later. But like the nice thing about electrical tape, relatively waterproof compared to other tapes. So like when I'm running cords that are going to be sitting outside for a long time, I will take electrical tape and just wrap up the connections to make sure water's not getting inside. Super helpful for like my Christmas lights that are sitting in snow. It does a much better job of keeping the water out than just a regular plug. So yeah, electrical tape, abso-freaking-lutely. All right. Prop building tools. Everything that we have talked about so far, I use for prop building constantly. But here are a couple of other things that I have found necessary. Tiny screwdrivers. Particularly with like prop controllers, they have really itty bitty little flathead screws to hold the wires in to hold the wires in. You need small screwdrivers to handle that. And I mean like teeny tiny electronics type screwdrivers. Check the link, check the show notes. I'll have a link to one that I like. A hot knife. That is indeed a piccolo that has electrical tape on it.
Yeah, I'll explain that
after the show. after the show. So a hot knife. When I got into foam carving, I bought my first hot knife and I have never looked back. I have a very specific hot knife that I adore, that I absolutely recommend. Let me find it real quick.
And I have not picked this thing up in far too long. Damn.
Yeah. So it's called a Warrior brand hot knife, 130 watt hot knife, available at Harbor Freight. And like this thing gets super hot. It cuts foam very quickly. I use it for
a hot knife through butter.
Like a hot knife through butter, or a hot knife through foam in this case. For like all of the straight lines that I'm doing for brickwork again, this is the knife that I use for that because it is so freaking effective. And you know what? It's $30. Like, abso-freaking-lutely, this is the one that I recommend.
If you're doing anything with foam, get a hot knife. You're going to make less of a mess. It's going to go faster. You're going to have more precision. And your life is going to be much, much happier than trying to go at this with a chisel. We haven't really talked about chisels. Chisels, very useful.
Yeah, you know what? I don't use them as much. I thought about it. I deliberately left it off because I use them so little for hunting. Leslie just give me a skeptical look.
I love a good chisel.
I find it's a much finer tool than I need for most of my hunting.
This is true. I would definitely put chisels more in the prop building realm.
That could be.
Because as you're doing, let's talk, you're trying to carve out names on or a design on a tombstone. Chisel versus, especially if you don't have like a scroll saw, which is way beyond what I would recommend for really anything, unless you're really, really, really wanting to get in and do a lot of detail stuff.
Yeah. The other side of hot knives, or the other type of hot knives that I own and love, Hot Wire Foam Factory. Yeah. Hot Wire Foam Factory makes a ton of different types of hot knife type tools. And so they have crafter tools, which allow you to do like fancy designs in foam, which are very cool. But they also have bows, and I freaking love their bows.
Yeah.
The bow is
exactly what it sounds like.
Exactly what it sounds like.
A wire between. It's a bow. It's a
like
wire held between a U.
Yeah, exactly. Picture like a bow for shooting an arrow, like, and you're in the vicinity, except the string that you're shooting the arrow off of is a hot wire. And so like when I'm cutting big pieces of foam, the bow is the only way to do it because it has the space to do so. I could do it with the hot knife from Harbor Freight, but my line is usually a little bit wavy because I just can't be as accurate. The other way, take your utility knife and set a 2x4 along the whole thing, score the entire thing, and then break it. Also an option. All ways to work with foam. But I have found like the bows that Hot Wire Foam Factory made my life so much easier when I was doing a lot of foam work.
Yeah, and if you're working with large blocks of foam and you're trying to cut off, it is so much faster.
So much faster.
You also have less waste. So as you're cutting off these big chunks, you can use those chunks.
Use those for other pieces.
As opposed to trying to do anything else where you get all those fine pieces and you just end up with foam everywhere.
Yes. And you know what? Shop back. Right back here for scooping up all the foam bits that you were leaving everywhere.
Yep.
The other thing I use for carving foam constantly, a Dremel, a rotary tool. I freaking love my Dremel. I should have bought it years ago. All I can say about that. And you know what? It's useful for other things as well. Like it came with cutting discs that I can use for like cutting chain or this stupid ass nail that I can't get out of this pallet. Well, fine. I'm just going to zip you off with my Dremel. Suck it.
And then pop it open with the crowbar.
Exactly. So Dremel, super useful.
Crowbars are fun.
As you're making all of these things, you're going to have to paint it at some point, right? So a variety of different painting tools, paint brushes, paint stirrers, paint rollers. But what I bought a couple years ago when we did Sanguine last time for doing large scale painting, like the way I built the haunt last time is I set up all of the walls and then went through and painted. So that paint was consistent across all the walls and it actually looked like a real place, right? What a freaking concept. But I bought my first paint gun.
Oh, that thing was so nice to use.
It's so freaking nice. Wagner. It's a Wagner paint gun that they sell at Home Depot. It's electric, which is super cool. So I don't need compressed air or anything else. You just pour the paint into the tub. I didn't need to thin it or anything else.
It would have helped a little bit for it to have been thinned out. I did a lot of the painting on the facade using this tool, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. I definitely would say a little bit of thinning with the paint would have been helpful because the nozzle did get clogged a little bit, but I also, again, we're using recycled paint. There's a whole bunch of other pieces with it. If you're using like fresh, brand new, you've spent lots of money on paint and I wish I had your budget, you probably don't need to. If you're using recycled paint or, whatever's left over and mixing things up, might not be a bad idea. It's also nice because it is going to help your paint go a little bit further. So you can use less paint to cover more area.
Yeah, exactly. So like this Wagner, they call it the electric handheld HVLP paint sprayer. It's $125 at Home Depot right now. And it changed the way that I paint. Like, I love this thing.
Yeah, we basically went from painting with rollers with all of the, panels on the ground and trying to roller them, which worked, but definitely had a lot of issues, to everything could be up and put together and you're just standing there going spray, 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 move on to the next panel, spray, spray, spray.
And it's
really,
I'm doing
really great.
Wide areas at a time. It's so much faster than trying to roll it.
Yeah.
We would not have finished if we tried to roll it all.
Oh God, no. Not with that. Not with all those stores.
So yeah, highly recommend that right there. There are plenty of other tools that I use in my prop building. We've covered most of them already though, so I don't really want to get into it. If you have the skills, like I really want a welder because I keep coming across things that I want to make that I just can't do any other way, but welding would make it really easy. I don't have the skills. I don't have the tool. Oh, it's on my list of skills I want to learn down the line somewhere.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've got for prop building. And then let's talk makeup tools.
Yes. So you're just getting started. Again, as much as we love to have our high end and we've built up to these things, if you're doing anything with, more than a couple of people and you're doing the makeup for them, the biggest thing that you want is you want a spray bottle with isopropyl alcohol, because after every individual that you do makeup on, you want to spray down all of the makeup that you're using to disinfect it. Makeup harbors bacteria. There's a reason why we're all told as growing up as girls and women and guys who are into makeup, never share your makeup. The bacteria, it can cut through and ruin everything. So my biggest things are figure out what makeup you want to use. Drugstore makeup, costume makeup, all of that works perfectly well for 90% of what we do.
Yes.
Get disposable makeup sponges and makeup applicators. They are ridiculously cheap. They're easy to use. You can train anybody on them. And as soon as you're done for the night, you throw it away. Yeah, I would love to say, get your makeup brushes, be reusable, take care of the environment. But with the speed at which you're going to try and get everybody done, and with the health and well-being of your actors, get disposable, use them once, throw them away at the end of the night, and between each of your actors, spray down all of your makeup kits with isopropyl alcohol, let it dry, and then get started on your next person. That is going to be the key of what you're going to use. Another great tool for all of this is Q-tips. Q-tips can apply a good 90% of your makeup and are really, really great for detail work. They make pointed Q-tips, so you can use those. They're great for cleaning up lines on your actors. So again, there's a lot you can do with really, really basic stuff to get started. So that's one of the big things I would start with is disposable makeup tools and an alcohol spray bottle.
Now, Les, I know you really want to talk about more advanced makeup tools, but let's take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and then you can jump right into it.
If you want to start expanding And as you decide this is what you want to do, as you want to get into special effects makeup. So again, this is a place where you can start racking up the dollars really, really quickly. There are other ways to do it. You can do a lot of special effects makeup with literally latex, skin approved latex, and toilet paper.
Toilet paper is incredibly versatile.
It is super versatile. And if you don't know where to get, skin friendly latex.
I was halfway expecting you to say, if you don't know where to get toilet paper.
No, that one should be.
If you don't know where to get toilet paper, we need to have a larger conversation, people.
Well, not necessarily. Bidets are fantastic tools.
But you can't use them for makeup.
No.
Do not use your bidet for makeup.
Unless you really are desperate and need to wash it off. But again, there's better tools for that too. Yes, this is a family-friendly show. We are all adults here. Maybe. Quick way to get skin-friendly latex that you can use with toilet paper to create special effects makeup is actually eyelash glue. Most eyelash glue is a form of latex or a latex type product that you can use. And I've used it very, very effectively. One thing, it does take for freaking ever to dry. So have a hair dryer on hand to help it dry faster. But all that said,
I thought of that. I like that.
Yeah. So remember when we did the zombie and I was trying to do that and it was taking for freaking ever to dry. I wish I had a hair dryer on hand. I learned that trick later. So learn from me. Have a hair dryer on hand, helps you dry everything so that way you can make layers, build everything up, and get everybody moving.
Thank you for that. I completely forgot a very important prop building tool, a heat gun, which is a more powerful hair dryer that's great for like melting the foam just a little bit to add detail.
Heat gun on your face.
Do not use a heat gun on your face. Absolutely.
You will burn your face off. A hair dryer, heat gun. Not interchangeable, but in desperation, you can use a hair dryer as a heat gun in small areas and for certain things.
What I find is it doesn't get as hot as I need it to for like the melting foam. But
no, it doesn't. It's not supposed to dry your hair.
Exactly.
You can use it to do shrink wrappy stuff on really, really basics. It's going to take 10 times as long as using a heat gun. But again, do not use a heat gun on your makeup.
Accurate.
Bad things will happen.
And
if you're using it with toilet paper, your face is going to be on fire. And we are telling you now, do not do that.
The Haunting You podcast is not responsible for you setting your face on fire.
Please do not set your face on fire. Practical makeup effects, I love them. That is not the way to go. It's bad enough when he hits his head and hits his face with my hammer.
Indeed. So yeah, keep going.
Okay. So if we've done all that and then you want to step it up and you want to speed up or you want to use a new technique, next up is very much going to be airbrush makeup. And I'm getting mine out so I can tell you exactly who it's by because it is delightful. I got a full kit of Pro Air airbrush mini air compressor from Pro Air Hybrid Makeup. And it is fantastic. I got the whole compressor, all of the tools that I need. I've got paints. And it is a very, very great place to start if you're wanting to learn airbrush makeup. And this was what, 150? Or no, this was not even that.
No, I think it was somewhere around that. We found that one at a conference.
And
they were doing a deal on it. Exactly. So like conferences, great place to pick up stuff.
Conventions, great place to pick up stuff on sale, to pick up kits, to see how things work and to get demonstrations. So it is something that I have not spent nearly enough time learning how to use, and I need to, but it is kind of, again, that next level. It is not necessary by any stretch of the imagination for you to be able to do very, very good makeup for your haunt.
Yep.
It is something that, as you're doing this, as you want to do more of it, it is the next tool to look at trying to purchase. But again, nothing that is required. Get your drugstore makeup, get your colors, get your, grease paint. Any acting store is going to have what you need. And, as much as it's going to destroy your skin, anything that you can get it and at the Halloween stores at Spirit, come September, it's going to work. One thing that I will say from a protect your skin is get a very, very good professional makeup primer. That is going to keep your skin healthier, especially if you're doing multiple shows over multiple nights.
Hey, Les, legitimate question here. I like to buy stuff when it goes on sale at the end of a season. Can I do that with makeup and then save it for the next year?
Yes.
Is there
So
anything that I
makeup,
can't do that with?
not necessarily. So all makeup has recommended lifespans.
Shelf life.
That said, I have makeup that is easily, I think I've gotten rid of everything from high school. So maybe not. I have makeup that's easily 10 to 15 years old.
I was saying, I'm coming up on my 20th anniversary. You're not far behind me.
Yeah, I know. I do have makeup that is 10 to 15 years old that still works perfectly well for what I need it to do. The formulation of the makeup is going to help determine its shelf life. So powders tend to have longer shelf lives than liquids. So I have eyeshadows that are ancient that still work perfectly acceptably for what I'm doing with them.
Yeah.
The big thing with makeup is you buy it on sale at the end of the season to use next season. Great. When you get it out and when you're getting ready to use it, do an evaluation of it. So what you want to do is you want to look to see if the color has gone off.
Which might be good depending on what you're...
Not necessarily. So if the color has changed from what it's supposed to be, that means that there's likely some degradation of the makeup.
Ew.
So you want to check for funny colors. You want to check for funny smells. And you want to see if anything is growing on the makeup. I'll take a picture and Kay can post it on our website or wherever. I have some lipsticks that have things growing on them.
Ew. Because that's basically some kind of grease, right?
It's a grease, it's a mold, it's a crystallization.
I'm saying the lipstick is a grease.
Yes. The lipstick is oil-based.
Yeah.
So ways to make your makeup last longer: avoid light and avoid heat. So keeping it in cool, dark, dry places is going to help your makeup last longer. If it smells funny, if the texture of what it is, so if you have a makeup that's supposed to be a liquid and it's kind of clumpy, it's not good. You're going to need to throw it out. If it's supposed to be, greasy and it's liquidy, throw it out. So do this with all of your makeup regardless. Again, 90% of my makeup is beauty makeup, and I can use that very, very effectively for haunts. Again, it's what I have, so I make use with what I have. But always check your makeup, and from there, make the decision as to whether or not it is safe to use. If it has a funny smell, if it has a funny color, if there's things growing on it, if the texture is not what it's supposed to be based on what type of makeup it is, throw it out and get something else.
Yeah.
But for all of the mascara is 3 months lifespan. Foundation is, I think, 6 months to a year. Lipstick is supposed to be, I don't even know. It's all on the internet. You can go look it up. I don't abide by that, mostly because I keep my makeup in dark, dry, cool places. And as much as I buy very, very expensive makeup, I don't want to have to replace it every 6 months because I don't use it that often.
Yeah.
So that's really where the baseline is keep an eye on it. Bad smells, bad colors, bad looks, dump it.
Cool. Other tools.
Stabby things.
What? Indeed. What about like sculpting tools?
So with sculpting tools, you're doing anything with foam, like malleable foam.
No. I'm talking like for makeup. Like honestly, if you're working with, say, gel or something like that.
So if you're doing anything with that, Q-tips, popsicle sticks.
Ooh.
And Q-tips, toothpicks, and popsicle sticks will get you through a good portion of what you need to have and what you would need to use. If you feel like you need to move beyond that, the next place that I would recommend looking for tools is, incidentally enough, nail art tools.
What does that mean, nail art?
So nail art tools are all of the tools that professional nail artists use to make all of their designs. And if you're doing raised designs and things like that, one of the big ones is going to be their little, and I'll take pictures of all these because I have a bunch of them. It's little pins with a little metal knob on top, so you can make little tiny dots. So that's a way that you can use, and they're different sizes to make different size dots. So to push material up or to make divots in the material, any nail equipment. So that's another way that you can use to create textures. Sponges are a really, really good way to create textures in makeup or gelatin. And another good thing, so gelatin is a very, very useful, cheap way to do build-ups for special effects makeup. And there's a bunch of recipes and things online. I believe Rallis Khan's website probably has a whole bunch on gelatin. He actually taught me how to do it. But one of the things that you can actually use as well, in addition to the gelatin, to start giving it structure is, again, toilet paper, cotton balls, Q-tips. All of those things you can break into smaller pieces. So one of the things that we did was we did a very, very cool scratched out eye on me when I took his class. And so he just did that by running gelatin up and down between my eye. If you want to have something that's a little bit more structured, you could actually put pieces like a broken Q-tips and hold them there and then build it.
Oh, sure.
So, a lot of the things, it's trial and error. And the big thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that what you're doing is safe for your skin, the right temperature, the right size, and that there's no sharp, pokey things.
Indeed. Okay, so these are all the tools that we've talked about for like building your haunt, but what about running your haunt? Now we are into the presentation phase. You're open for business. What do you keep on hand to help you do that effectively? And so, couple thoughts. In our operating your haunt episode a couple years ago, I talk about your to-go bag, and that's just like the basic toolbox I carry around for fixing shit that breaks while we're open. Need to do a quick repair. It has, zip ties. It's got a few screws. It has my drill. It's got a hammer. It's got a variety of different sized like metal brackets that are used for reinforcing broken pieces of wood in many cases. That kind of stuff. Oh, it's my basic toolbox plus some ready to go items to help me do quick fixes. But then like there's just a whole bunch of things you're going to need to do in the haunt from operating. Do you have a bathroom? You're going to need tools to clean the bathroom. You're going to need, your scrub brushes and all of that, all your cleaning supplies. A push broom. You want to clear out the halls pretty quickly of debris? Get a push broom. And guess what? Shop vac coming in handy again here. Use your push broom to gather it all into a corner, suck it up with the shop vac. Quick and easy cleanups, right? But a push broom can't get into every corner. So having a regular broom that you can get into those tight corners, also kind of necessary. Some kind of kitty litter. Keep some kitty litter around because if someone poops themselves, if someone wets themselves, if someone throws up because they got sick because they weren't feeling well when they came, kitty litter, super quick to clean that up, and a flat shovel. So not like the spade that you would use for digging, but a flat nose shovel for scooping that up and disposing of it quick and easy. And then, various types of disinfectant as well. Yeah, have those handy.
Oh, yeah.
And then one big tool that people don't think about is actor management. And how are you communicating to your actors when stuff is happening? How are you scheduling them, making sure that they have all the information that they need? There are a variety of different tools out there to help you do that. And I want to talk about one that sponsors the Haunting You podcast called Scython, Sithon. You can actually get 20% off your first year with them if you use the code HauntingYou20. And it's just actor management software that is super intuitive, super easy to use, very powerful, and will make your life easier as you are managing all these various people. Scython, and use the code HuntingU20 to get 20% off your first year. Other tools for while you're running the hunt, Les?
Have a good flashlight on hand.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? A headband flashlight.
Yes.
Headband flashlight. That way you don't need to use up an extra hand while you are doing stuff. You just throw it on your head. You can put it exactly where you need it and then do your repairs. Absolutely. And if you have a colored one, so much the better. Like if you can do it with a red light instead of a white light, less likely for you to, disturb the patrons around you or make it known that you're there if you're using red versus white.
Yeah.
I've got one that does both colors and I like it.
Yeah, red also will not damage your actor or your patron's night vision.
Night vision. Or yours, for that matter,
or yours.
as you're walking through the dark hunt. Yeah, maintain your night vision. Use red lights. If you use white lights, your pupils will dilate, and then it takes up to a half an hour to fully undilate, or I guess it will contract. And it'll take up to half an hour for it to fully dilate again in the dark. So yeah, preserve your night vision. Okay. I think we have summed up our toolkits pretty thoroughly. If we are not experts. We are
amateurs.
We are amateurs. We do it because we love it. This is just kind of what we have come up with based on our experience. If you think of other things that you think our listeners would benefit from, shoot us a message, leave a comment on any one of our posts, send it to us, and we'll put it out on our social media so that everyone else can see that as well. Speaking of social media, where can you find it all, Les?
You ask me this every time, and every time I don't freaking remember.
I know. That's why I enjoy watching this. For those who don't know, Les doesn't really use social media very much. I do all of the social media work. I don't know how that happened because John used to do it all. I have somehow taken over.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm doing all the builds and it's just way easier to take a picture and post it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely go check out our website, huntingu.com, just the letter U, and that will link you to everything that we have available. Definitely, or I recommend most YouTube at huntingu, just the letter U again. Instagram has a ton of content on it at Hunting University. Facebook.com/huntingu, just the letter U. Those are the main places where you can find everything that we are putting out. And as we get closer to hunt season, there's going to be a lot more coming out. Right now on YouTube, we just put out a whole bunch of stuff from the East Coast Hunters Convention. All of that is, of course, every convention we've ever been to is up in our library. You can check it out to see the cool vendors that we've met and talked to and showed off their products. And then all of our builds as well end up on YouTube and Instagram primarily. So go check those out and, like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we put out more cool content.
And if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. We will absolutely, again, we do take what you guys bring us and, we take it with value because it's not just us. I mean, it is absolutely us speaking into the ether, but we love to hear for those of you that, do find us entertaining or terrible or inspiring, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, this whole episode was inspired because someone reached out and asked a question. And so, that's what we love to hear. We want to tailor our content to make it as useful to you, the builders, the makers, the costumers, all of that. We want it to be as useful to you as possible. So absolutely reach out and help us make sure the Hunting You podcast is exactly what you need to help build the hunt of your dreams.
So that is one thing, as you said, costumes. We did not talk about costuming tools.
We did not talk about costuming tools. A couple of things off the top of your head, Les. What do you have in mind?
Again,
sewing machine.
That's going to be your big thing. A good pair of scissors.
Ooh, yeah. And you
know
what?
A really good pair of scissors. And whatever scissors you use for fabric, do not let anybody use them for anything else or you will stab them in the heart with it.
That is exactly what I was about to say. My mom is a huge seamstress, loves to sew.
Mine.
And she nearly murdered my brother and I both on multiple occasions when we were kids because we stole her good shears for sewing and used them for other things and told them,
yeah,
don't do that.
I that was never even an option. I knew that death would happen if I ever touched my mom's good finger scissors. And I have my good scissors. I have my not so good scissors that I love, but the good scissors are for fabric and yarn only.
Yeah.
Big thing with costumes is a good sewing machine, a good pair of scissors, and a decent set of needles so that way you can do quick hand stitching.
Yes, absolutely. I do a ton of hand stitching primarily on like my uniforms, and it's a very thick material. I need a hardy needle to get through that. Hardy needles. Don't buy the cheap stuff. Like, get good needles.
Yep. There's a lot more, especially when you start talking distressing and other tools and techniques with costuming.
Every tool that we talk about today can be used for distressing as well.
Yes, it can. Quite effectively, too. And also, nothing for distressing, nothing beats giving it to your dog and playing tug of war outside in the dirt, or giving it to your children and telling them to
roll around in this.
Go to town and go roll around and run around the forest and throw it around.
Yes.
Great ways
natural
to
distressing.
Natural distressing, as well as entertain your children.
Of course, before we go, though, we have to give an opportunity for the Chamber of Hunters to tell us what is happening. So let's take a moment to have the Chamber's Corner. The Hunting You podcast is, of course, the official podcast of the Chamber of Hunters. And so every month we'd like to give them the opportunity to give us the latest and greatest of what is happening within the chamber. So, Mr. Rob Knowlton, I believe this might be your last, maybe one more. Maybe this is your penultimate Chamber's Corner. But what have you for us this month? The Chamber of Hunters serves as the Chamber of Commerce for the haunted attraction industry. We have many events coming up. First off, we have our first virtual Lunch and Learn. This is for anyone to attend. If you're interested, please email us at chamberofhunters@gmail.com so we can have you RSVP and send you the Zoom link to participate. The Lunch and Learn will take place via Zoom on Saturday, June 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to having you there. We will also be attending the Texas Hunters Convention on July 26th and 27th. We hope to have you with us as we celebrate 5 years in operation and see a new incoming president take over leading the Chamber of Hunters. It will be an amazing time. If you are interested in joining, please visit our website at chamberofhunters.com. Join us today. And I am super excited to say that the Hunting You podcast is going to be hosting these Lunch and Learns, and each and every one will be put out on our YouTube page after the event. So if you're not able to make it to the live event, go check out our YouTube and you can at least catch the recap there.
Alrighty. And as always, the Chamber of Hunters is doing everything they can to bring information and resources to all hunters, professional, home, amateur, and everybody in between. And we are so grateful for what they are putting together and providing to us as a community. So thank you for that.
Exactly. So, like Les said, this episode is running very long, but I hope you got a lot of value out of it, and I hope that it helps you build out the toolkit that you need to help build your haunt this year. Again, reach out to us on any of the social medias. We are more than happy to chat and provide whatever information that we have available. We'd love to share it with you. But in the meantime, we will see you next month. From all of us here at Hunting You, happy hunting.
Bye, everybody.
We are incredibly grateful to all the sponsors who make this show possible, especially our premium sponsors, the Chamber of Hunters and VFX. You can learn more about our premium sponsors by checking out their websites at chamberofhunters.com and vfxcreates.com. Check out our website at huntingyou.com for more information on everything that we do. Hunting You can be reached via Facebook at facebook.com/hauntingyou with just the letter U, or on Instagram under the handle at Hunting University, and YouTube under the handle at Hunting You. Hunting You is a production of Sanguine Creek Entertainment. All audio clips and sound effects are used under a Creative Commons Attribution or Public Domain license from Purple Planet Music at purple-planet.com or the Sound Bible at soundbible.com. Please see the show notes for more information on all the clips used in this episode.